Hi, welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comments section. Please like and share the video as well. Impact Wrestling Slammiversary 2018. I've got to be honest, Impact Wrestling has been on fire for me of late. I'm really enjoying the product. There seems to be storylines going with everything. There seems to be meaning behind every match. It sort of feels important, and particularly the last Impact Wrestling, that's how you do a go-home show. If you're a WWE fan and you're actually looking and thinking, what's wrong with the product? Watch Impact Wrestling at the moment. Seriously, these guys are building feuds, building rivalries. Everything seems to feel important on this card going forward. I just hope now that the show delivers when we watch it live here this evening. So if you're watching, I'm going to give my predictions, going to go through the matches and make my picks and see what you think. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you agree with me. If you disagree, why you would disagree. I would love to know your thoughts on Slammiversary here this evening. I'm going to make a little shout out just before as well. There's no match on the Impact card for this, but the Killer Cross angle with a mystery attacker. I really enjoyed that week after week. That really sort of kept me intrigued on Impact Wrestling, and I really enjoyed the introduction of Lucha Underground stars coming in, the House of Hardcore, just everything really basically with Impact Wrestling right now has almost been gold to watch, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to go for the matches, and I'm going to start with the X Division Championship. Probably the matches had the least build on the entire card. The champion Matt Sydal versus Brian Cage. They did have a match before, which Matt Sydal won, I believe was via countout, if I'm not mistaken. That was to build at the time Brian Cage and the Congo Kong feud. I wonder if Kong will be involved somewhere with this match again. We'll have to wait and see. But I do feel that would perhaps be done and there'll be no interference in this match. I'm going to go for a Brian Cage victory. I just kind of feel that I don't see Sydal. He's defeated all those sort of guys in the X Division. He's now facing a bigger guy. Cage is meant to be on this big roll. He's not been pinned or submitted. So they're probably going with a different direction of this championship, give it to a more heavier guy, and perhaps maybe where there's no room for him at the World Championship picture at the moment, this is a way to really sort of build him on a mid-card level, to perhaps later on go to a main event level. So I'm going to go for Brian Cage to pick up the victory and the brand new X Division champion. Next, we're going to look at the 51-50 street fight. The OGs, which were formerly the old LAX of Homicide and Hernandez, they're going to be with the King, Kingston, and they're going to be taking on the modern LAX, which is Santana and Ortiz, who are going to, of course, have Conan by their side. Pretty well built this. I've enjoyed the storyline going forward. Of course, Conan was meant to be attacked, and of course, it was always going to be Kingston, the King, who was behind it. It's sort of like an in-family rivalry, and it's the old LAX versus the new LAX, and of course, what better way to do it than a 51-50 street fight? It's going to be certainly fun to watch, and hopefully it's going to deliver a good match in the ring. I'm hoping that Hernandez and Homicide can still put on a really good match, and I'm sure they can. I do believe, though, at the end of this, we're going to get the faces come away with a victory. I do see Santana and Ortiz picking up the W in the 51-50 street fight. Now, next is a match that's sort of perhaps understated on the card, but I'm quite looking forward to it despite its very recent build. Tessa Blanchard versus Ali. I'm a big fan of Tessa Blanchard. I think her work in Impact so far has been phenomenal. I really think she's going to be a breakout heel star of the future and a future Knockouts champion. Ali, we're seeing a new side from her since she's come back after a rivalry with Sue Young. Perhaps not so kiddie. Is that perhaps the right way to put it? She seems to be fan attention, perhaps a bit childish. She seems to be more of an adult Ali, and I quite like this. So it does kind of put an interesting feud going forward. I do think that Tessa Blanchard, though, is going to pick up the victory in this because Blanchard has lost a couple of matches recently, and I think they really want to build her up going forward. And although I can't really see a heel versus heel match for the championship, I certainly think that the second that Sue Young drops the belt, they need to have someone ready to take on the new Knockouts champion when that happens, and I think Tessa Blanchard will certainly be up there or thereabouts when it comes to it. And next we're going to look at a Fatal 4-Way, which is certainly going to be an incredible match, a spectacle. We've got Johnny Impact, who's returning after being on Survivor and also recently getting married. Congratulations to Johnny Impact. Ishimori, who's going to be there as well. We've got Phoenix and Rich Swann completing the lineup here. I think this is going to be a spot fest. It's going to be a masterclass of high-flying action, and personally, I'm very much looking forward to it. Rich Swann has put on some incredible performances since debuting with Impact. Same with Phoenix. Ishimori has been away a little bit recently. He's been involved with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I believe the Bone Soldier over there. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. And of course, we're getting Johnny Impact back. So I think we've got 4 very talented individuals. This really could go any way, but I'm going to stick my neck out and say Johnny Impact will pick up the victory. He's back, and I think he's going to do with a W here. I can see him picking up the victory, and perhaps maybe he can get pushed near towards the main event spot. Next, we are going to look at the House of Hardcore match. Tommy Dreamer versus Eddie Edwards. Now, I can't say that I've always been looking forward to a Tommy Dreamer match in 2018, but I tell you what, the build of this match has been absolutely brilliant. I've really enjoyed the build up to this point, and it's a hardcore match, so it's the best way to sell a lunatic now that is Eddie Edwards, and what is going to be perhaps a bleeding face who can get sympathy from the crowd in Tommy Dreamer. So this match is perhaps made to perfection. It needed that stipulation, and I think it's going to work pretty well. I think it's kind of obvious for me. Eddie Edwards will pick up the victory here. I don't see how it would make any sense to go any other way, but I think it's going to be a good match, and like I said, the hardcore stipulation is going to work, and as well, it helps promote the House of Hardcore for Tommy Dreamer as well. So, yeah, I think this is a win-win all round, and should be a decent match. Next, we will look at the mask versus hair match. Pentagon Jr. versus Sami Callihan. Now, Sami Callihan has got to be in the top 3 heels of pro wrestling right now. He is legitimately hated, and the way he carries himself is the perfect way a heel needs to carry himself in 2018. Almost a despicable human being that will go to any lengths to get where he needs to get. He's someone that people want to see beaten, and I think with someone like Pentagon as an opponent here and with the mask on the line, it's going to have a lot of investment in this match. Personally, for me, I'm not normally one that's up for a mask or hair match, really, but with the way these two have been built with each other, I've really enjoyed it. I've liked the way that Sami Callihan has targeted anyone with a mask to try and remove them and reveal the identity. Of course, in Lucha, that is a very it's almost losing your soul and your identity when your mask is taken off. I like the way they've built that together. I like the attacks that have been done as well. It just really feels like there's a lot of bad blood in this match, and it feels that you're as intrigued for the match rather than just the stipulation as well. And I think that's what's a really gripping part about this match. I do think it'll be a big mistake for Pentagon to lose his mask, because that is his entire identity. And I do think that actually with him losing that, I really think you might bury him. I don't know if there'll be a point of recovery. He is too popular and too over to lose the mask, in my personal opinion, which is why I'm going to go for a Pentagon victory. And I think it can lead to new storylines and perhaps a different direction going forward for Sami Callihan without his hair. It could perhaps even bring an even more darker and twisted side out of him. Could we see him get even more despicable and more hated? We'll have to wait and see. But certainly for me, I think it's going to be one of the more intriguing matches come at Slammiversary. Next, let's look at the Knockouts Championship, which will be Su Yung versus Madison Rayne. Another great build-up, another great rivalry going into Slammiversary. I really enjoyed the horror movie aspects of the last couple of weeks. Madison Rayne being led into a field and kidnapped, and then sort of waking up in this sort of like dream where she's at her own funeral. A lot of people that she's speaking to, including her own daughter, having that Su Yung face paint saying that your time has come. Very gripping television, very interesting, and something a bit outside of the box. I like that this Su Yung character is a very, almost like an Undertaker character-esque, and I think she's got a lot of mileage going forward. The concern here for me is that a lot of it's been one way in the storytelling. That Su Yung seems to have the upper hand the whole way through, which makes you wonder, will Madison Rayne do the unthinkable and pick up the victory here, perhaps maybe building a future rivalry with Tessa Blanchard for the Impact Knockouts Championship? For me, I feel that Su Yung has got a lot more mileage left as the Knockouts champion. I think there's still more to give. So for me, I hope that she retains the belt on Slammiversary at Sunday. But I have to say, once again, props there. Madison Rayne picking up a lot of victories to get to this spot. I think it's going to be a very good match, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to play out on the pay-per-view. Now, last but certainly not least is the Impact World Championship, the main event. Austin Aries is going to be defending the belt against Moose. Certainly going to be a good matchup, this one. Of course, Moose is expected to have a D'Angelo Williams, who I'm sure you guys will remember from last year's Slammiversary, the pro footballer who was Moose's tag team partner on that event and did a great showing as well on that event. But he's going to be in the corner of Moose on this pay-per-view. The question is what Impact is going to do here with this one. It's been perhaps not one of the ones been majorly built. Moose has been away for a few weeks, apparently working on his trade. Mr. Impact Wrestling says he's going to be the champion at some point in 2018. Is this the spot for him to do it? I think he's going to win the belt at some point. But Austin Aries has been a decent representative of the belt since coming back to Impact Wrestling, a two-time world champion since coming back, but also taking that belt and exposing it on other projects as well, going to places like ROH and facing the likes of Kenny King. It certainly will be interesting to see what will happen going forward, how Impact Wrestling want their champion to be, because Austin Aries, of course, is a small individual, but Moose, ex-pro footballer as well, a bigger guy. Is perhaps seen as the company face at some point to be going forward. Is this the time to pass the torch, or is there a little bit more mileage for Austin Aries to be the champion? Aries has had perhaps the better of this because he's the one that's been doing all the talking, and when Moose finally showed up at this week's event after having a few weeks away, Austin Aries said he wasn't going to be there after appearing on the screen, only to actually turn up from behind and giving a low blow and a chair shot. I think it's going to be interesting because Austin Aries got that in, but of course Moose actually wasn't that affected by it, but Moose didn't get to lay his hands on Austin Aries properly, which means it's going to be saved for the pay-per-view. So making that prediction, it's not easy to make on this one. I feel it can go either way, but I think that Moose is going to get the nod here. I think we are going to get a new world champion. I think Moose is going to be the guy, Mr. Impact Wrestling and the world heavyweight champion. So that's everything there for Slammiversary. I think there's only two minor spots going into this pay-per-view that I'm a little bit disappointed about. Eli Drake not being on the pay-per-view, but I believe there were some contract issues around the time of the build-up. Of course, he has since signed an extension to stay with the company. Maybe he may appear in some non-wrestling capacity. We'll have to wait and see if he plays a part in this event at all. Of course, as well, there's no Grado, Katarina and Joe Hendry angle going on here. Now, one thing I do like about that feud, though, is that it's quite obvious that Grado is being cheated on, and it has already been brought to our attention. Now, so instead of us just thinking about it and really having our intelligence insulted by the writing team, it's already been brought to the attention. So it's just Grado that has his intelligence insulted here when this perhaps is going to be revealed later on. So I'm quite enjoying the way that that's been built. It's a shame that there's not going to be some sort of part of that on the pay-per-view. Maybe there may be some sort of part of a backstage segment somewhere in the event. But on the whole, I think it's been a great job by Impact Wrestling, and I think it's going to be a fun show to watch. Everything has got meaning, as I said before. Every rivalry, it feels like it's going somewhere, and it feels like it's must-see. So fair play, Impact Wrestling, and I hope it's going to be a great show tonight, and I hope everyone, including you guys watching this, is going to enjoy it. But that's all from me anyway. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Do you like my predictions? Do you agree? Let me know right now. Of course, like and share the video, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There will be more videos now actually coming back up here on SCW. I promise to make a bit of a comeback. So that's all from me from this particular video. Enjoy it, Slammiversary. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.